Good evening, Internet. This is the worst dance party ever, but it's a great TV party. You are watching Non-Pro TV Party Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. recap show. I'm your host, Frank, joined not at all in studio by James and Matt. Hi, James and Matt.
Hello.
Hooray! Frank. It's James and Matt.
Yay.
On Non-Pro's TV Party, we do a live Google Plus Hangout series where we geek out about our favorite television shows and invite you all to join along. We're not just recapping TV. We are in love with it. In this wonderful episode of Non-Pro's TV Party, we are going to talk about the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show. We actually are still waiting to do our other TV parties for other shows. If you're interested, I'm going to say this at the top, contact us. Leave a comment in this video or contact us on social media, and we'll be interested to talk to you about other shows on TV. But we're talking about S.H.I.E.L.D. today, and today we're going to be talking about the episode Wanted Inhuman, where the team is on the hunt for Inhuman ally Jefferson and Hydra enemy Ward. That's the synopsis. It was an okay episode, I think, but it was probably just okay for me. I have some strong misgivings of this episode. I'm not a sky is falling. I just realized I did that. I don't believe the sky is falling. I don't think this series is going to be is tanked. But there are a couple problems I have with choices they made in this series. We're going to talk about a bit. What did you two think? James?
It was okay. You know, I wasn't thrilled with it, but I did it. I think still like Al from last season. As hard as I try, and as a good idea this is with Lincoln, I'm kind of like, eh. It's just him, Daisy, despite the fact that they're shipping this and they're doing that whole thing, I don't think they have a lot of chemistry.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know. So it's hard to have an episode that that's major thing for it, and it's kind of eh.
I think I caught most of that. Who was the guest who wandered past your camera? All right.
It's a cat.
No.
Flying.
Oh, really? It was a cat. All right.
Yeah.
Matt, what did you think?
I mean, there was a bunch of stuff that I really did like about the episode. I love the stuff with Fitzsimmons. I love the side plot with May and Hunter. I thought that was fantastically done. But I agree that the main plot was kind of middling. I'm still kind of on the fence with Lincoln. I think they have some good. They actually have something to work with him now. But
did I call him Jefferson in the
opening? Lincoln. Yes.
He's some president. I don't know.
He's named after a dude.
All right. Good.
But yeah.
We have a couple of comments that James wasn't coming in clear in his part in the beginning. So to recap his basic concept, which I didn't think about, is if you're not a big Lincoln and Sky shipper, this episode had kind of a weak middle, I guess, or maybe second act. I don't remember when it happened. I totally forgot that they got together in this episode effectively. They kissed.
They kissed, yeah. So
I was like, oh, I did not even realize that you guys were a couple that they were trying to make a thing of. I did not remember that. I'm sorry. So yeah, that's kind of weird. All right, so before we get to the really awesome part of this episode, and there is one, I think we all agree on what it is. I will say that one of the problems I had was with motivation of characters. One thing that the show does generally very well is give you strong motivation for villains and also everybody else. You know why they're doing the things they're doing. They're not doing it just to move the plot along.
Right.
I don't get Coulson's entire deal with handing over Lincoln to the other agency, which I think is Act 2.
Or
ACTU.
ACTU or ATCU.
Something like that. Some acronym.
I think actually it's
Sword or Shield.
Yeah.
Or Hammer or anything that people are upset about. But yeah, I think. Oh, sorry, James, go.
I was gonna say I think I got the motion in the moment until the third negotiation happened. If Colton has to choose between Lincoln and Daisy, of course he's gonna choose Daisy. He's emotionally connected. But then it was we work together. That's okay.
Yeah.
And I'm that's
once again,
why
you
didn't
seem
you
like you're breaking up a little bit, James.
Time?
You may be breaking up a little bit, James, or we may just be interrupting you. Everybody else is seeing you fine. But yeah, the first time, James, I think you said Lincoln and giving up Lincoln for Daisy, got it.
Yeah.
But then, like, immediately being like, oh, crap, you got Daisy? Well, how about we work together? It seemed as it's what he finally ended up with. This, like, the final, like, the ultimate sacrifice was he had to work with this other agency, which was probably not that bad. Like, why didn't you just offer that in the beginning? Like, that seemed like it was reasonable. You're like, all right, I don't like the ATF, but I'll work with you, ATF. Like, they didn't establish that this is some major sacrifice. In fact, the opposite. They're establishing that this is them moving away from the old way of dealing with issues, which is rival shields, rival organizations, secrecy, that whole crap that was very frustrating to watch in some cases. Like, okay, you acknowledged it, then why that initial fake out of we're willing to hand over Jefferson, Lincoln. I remember that. Like, it seemed It seemed like it was poorly thought out.
I feel like I kind of understand what the idea behind why it was a kind of a big sacrifice, but I do agree that was very poorly implemented. Because it actually took me a while to think on it for a while to think, like, what's so bad about this? And I guess you do have to kind of, come sort of realize that working with the ATCU probably isn't a bad idea in itself, but kind of like the situation that S.H.I.E.L.D. is in and kind of the relationship and the partnership is pretty bad, because essentially now that S.H.I.E.L.D. is working for the government again, which is kind of like how everything went down the drain in the first place when the first S.H.I.E.L.D. fell.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I do feel, I know I mentioned this in our discussions on the Non-Pro fan club and whatnot, that I feel like that Coulson's explanation to Daisy at the end was half convincing her and half convincing himself to try to make the best out of that situation. But I do agree that I feel like that's what they're trying to go for, but it was pretty poorly done on trying to convey that point across.
Yeah, it's been a while since we had an episode where they were like that's clumsy about it. I feel like normally, so we were talking about like filmmaking and how television is improving, but like you would normally have a scene at this point where if a character was trying to convince themselves of something as much as they were trying to convince the person they're talking to, like if it's not being said genuinely, the audience is hearing what they're honestly thinking, you have a moment of self-reflection, of self-doubt. Them looking at themselves in the mirror is a classic example, right? Coulson looks at himself in the mirror and goes, should I have done it or whatever? And there's obviously very terrible ways of doing this and very like heavy-handed. But there's reasons we have these shortcuts in fiction. It's to establish things. You're not better than Shakespeare when there's asides and there's, things that like spoken aloud that should have been internalized. I feel like, I don't know. It felt more like it was a bad series of spy fake outs. I don't think they put as much
execution.
Yeah. That's my thing. All right. I want to bring up one thing because it kind of came up. Is what is S.H.I.E.L.D.'s problem? And I just have this sort of blanket thing I'm going to ask both you and Matt and James and all our commenters. Please fill in the blanks, especially if you happen to be, let's say, a libertarian or a socialist, because I want to see extremes in political discourse here. What the hell, man? Like, S.H.I.E.L.D. is a very weird fictional government organization, because we are way okay with, like, S.H.I.E.L.D. being our big brother. Like, they should be clandestine. They should work in behind the scenes. They should be, there should be no checks and balances with S.H.I.E.L.D. They don't have to report to anybody. Like, when you look at it, like, we see them being good guys, and we know Coulson, and we like the characters and the actors, and we're like okay with it. But there's a lot wrong with what I'm seeing here. If it was just like on paper, if this were happening in the real world, and I found out that, remember that government organization that was 50% Slytherin? Like, that's something shady. You should monitor the hell out of that place instead of being like, no, the best way they should work moving forward is with no checks and balances. That's bull. That's garbage. And I don't feel like they've really dealt with that, except a little bit with Edward James Olmos's character from last season. But I don't know. I think that kind of got pulled into the Inhumans battle. I don't think they really resolved that. I don't think there was any, like, what do you guys think about this? Am I Am I the only person up here screaming about S.H.I.E.L.D. needs more government oversight? James, let's try you.
I mean, I agree. Could you hear that?
We agree. Yeah, you agree.
But it's an interesting storytelling technique here. I think it mostly has to do with the fact that watching the TV show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the movies, Captain America, of course, the Winter Soldier, and even the Iron Man movies, and even Nick Fury's portrayal in the Avengers, it's a little off all the time. You're kind of like, S.H.I.E.L.D's maybe not such a good thing because we're watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They don't want to necessarily address that issue directly because they want to have likable characters. If you question the entire structure on which the show is based, it's kind of like, well, why are we doing this?
It's like being a little wary of the police, but then watching like NYPD Blue or something like. But no, even procedural cop shows, the better ones pay attention to the fact that people are a little worried about police overstepping. I assume.
But their characters, the right people to do it. You know what I mean? Like we don't question good Officer McGoodman. We just question the larger structure. The problem is here, Good Officer McGoodson is the 5 S.H.I.E.L.D. agents we follow. The S.H.I.E.L.D. organization now is 10 people. As far as we know, it's not a lot of people. So it's hard to question a large government structure in a show right now that's only, like, hair thin,
Yeah, I get it. I get where it's complicated. Please type in the chat room what you think you said regarding the name of Goody McGooderson. I don't know what you said, but we heard Goofer. Like, I really want to read out what you said because that was insane. Put it in the chat. I want to read it out loud for everyone, just in case they missed it. Which is possible that only Matt and I are the ones getting the delay. Matt, what do you think?
I know it's something that's brought up a lot in conversation.
Good cop McGooderson is what Dave said.
Good cop McGooderson.
All right, good.
And I do agree. I think with James, like it's really hard to make some kind of argument when considering you're dealing with a very small group, and like you're also dealing with a universe where we rely on the protection of literally a one-man privatized army, and like literally made in the U.S. soldier. But I do think that the show will start dealing with those issues, especially when they start getting really into the Secret Warriors. Because I'm starting to see that there is some sort of a rift developing between Daisy and Coulson. Maybe not like a complete separation, but a difference in like ideologies. I can't.
Ideologies.
Yeah. Ideologies.
You could have passed that off as a glitch in YouTube and let people fill in the gap, and no one would have noticed.
Damn it. With kind of like how dealing with the TCU, they disagree, and I think that's sowing the seeds. Kind of like what there's going to be a lot more disagreements between how Coulson runs S.H.I.E.L.D. and how Daisy wants to take the direction of the Secret Warriors. So I do think it is something that will be brought up eventually.
Good. I want that. All right, let's wrap this up by talking about the best scene in the show, and this is just my opinion. You guys could talk about other scenes, but the beatdown, the Fight Club that showed up in the middle of this episode. Holy crap, that was severe. Matt, you go first. What do you want to say about it?
Yeah, that whole entire subplot with May and Hunter. I love how they went straight British crime drama. When they even had the subtitle gag when they were speaking British English. But yeah, that whole entire fight and how like bloody Hunter looked by the end of it. That was, I mean, it wasn't. I don't know. I mean, it was just like such a realistic brutality to it. I mean, we kind of like see like superhero stuff, like people like being blasted by energy beams and whatnot, but like just the fact that like we're dealing with just Hunter wearing his and his opponent's, who was his, he thought it was best friend's blood. It was just
Right.
a level of brutality that I was actually kind of shocked.
Yeah, compared to like that scene in the first season when somebody gets set on fire or whatever, which
Yeah,
was pretty graphic at the time. We thought. I mean, this is at least that's fictional to the
like
extreme.
physical like
Superpower.
superpowers, but yeah,
Yeah,
this
but
was
this
just
is
straight
someone
out.
being
Yeah.
beaten to death by a hero. It's pretty severe. James?
Um, two comments about this. One, I love the subject. I thought it was cute, but maybe I watched too much British TV because they were totally speaking like way understandable English.
Yeah.
Like totally could understand what they were saying. Uh, and I'm gonna say I think the only thing I've seen more brutal than that ending scene with Hunter and his jaw like kind of like hit sideways that he's gonna have to snap back into place. Has got to be stuff on Hannibal, and that was obviously brutal. So yeah, that was damn.
And also, Hunter's not a character have a lot of invested in. Hunter or Bobby and their relationship or anything. I don't hate them. I just don't have a lot invested in. But this was actually something where I'm like, oh, all right,
I like them.
pay attention. All right, and it makes sense. I like the way they tie this character in with Ward, who's a character I am actually interested in because I've been following him for a while, and I kind of want to see this fight take place. I have a feeling May's going to be more involved in it than we would expect. You know, you want to have the two alphas, theoretically, alpha males fighting off, but I think that this series will play with those expectations. And in that way, they almost are an expectation, you know? It's kind of iffy, but I'm curious to see what happens, is what I'm saying. But yeah, I think it was an okay episode. It was all right, but there were some issues with it. And I, for one, I'm going to put this out here, I liked the parts with the car talk. I thought it was
Yeah,
good.
that was pretty good. Can we
Yeah.
quickly talk about the Fitzsimmons stuff before we wrap up?
Oh yeah, sure.
I thought that was really neat. Actually seeing the mental scarring and the PTSD Simmons was feeling, actually physically experiencing. That was, I think that was actually handled really well, considering like the real world, like how realistic that stuff that happens in real life. I also really liked the scene with Daisy and Simmons. I think that was really nice to reestablish their friendship. I know back in season 2, a lot of people were kind of wondering if Simmons was gonna like turn on Daisy because of her whole entire mindset on Inhumans and superpowers.
Right.
But I just felt, I don't know, I'm kind of a softie and I like seeing friendship in television. So seeing the two of them actually like supporting each other, I thought that was, out of all the like dark stuff that has happened in the episode, that was a much welcomed lighter moment.
I can't believe that I forgot that was all this episode. I honestly did. I forgot, and it was actually really good. I really do like Fitz and Simmons and Daisy Simmons build up. Yeah, I 100% agree. It's been said. That was pretty cool. There was one thing I didn't like about Simmons, but I'll swing over to James for his analysis because it might be the same thing. What's up, James? Nothing.
Nothing?
James, you have anything to say?
You want me to say what you're gonna say?
Say that again, James.
You want me to say what you're gonna say?
Well, what? Yeah, what
I
do
know
you
what
think
you're
my
gonna say.
problem with it was with Simmons's part of the episode?
We go back, Kate. We gotta go.
We gotta go back to the island. Oh my God. Oh, you know what? I honestly just do not care. That whole mechanic, that trope of you wouldn't expect this character to want to go back into the place that they just came out of, but they do. Oh, done.
I'm not. Look, I think to even call it a trope, it wasn't an issue. I feel like the trope doesn't bother me so much. In fact, the thing that you last ruined if everybody was lost is what everyone's gonna to have the issue with here because it's the first thing I thought of too, and it's not even a trope that actually gets. If you look back, it's not a trope that actually gets a huge amount of play as far as being kind of like a joke. You know, like normally it's something that's played for a gag. It's like, what do you mean we're going back into full corporate quarter? You know, something like that. You know, it was like such a big plot point in Lost that when you see that S.H.I.E.L.D. might be setting it to be a big plot threat here, kind of like, I don't need another show that's
I'm
going to
not
tie an
sure
entire
about this.
season around this.
I think my problem with it is, okay, in Lost, and this is going to be awkward for people who haven't seen Lost. If when that happens, when it typically when it happens, I'm going to try to remove any, you know, file off all the serial numbers. When it happens, the idea is to shock the viewer. The viewer doesn't expect the character who just got out of a horrible situation to want to go back to the horrible situation. And usually there's some explanation for why they want to go back to the horrible situation. It's not simply PTSD. It's because I left my child there. And you're like, oh, all right. Why didn't you just say that? Now I know why you want to go back. Your baby's there. Fine. Well, let's do that. But like that effect it has in audiences, which is the shock, wears off once you've seen it a couple of times. It's no longer like a shocking thing. You're like, oh, okay. Next episode we'll find out that Simmons has to go back because there's a miracle cure on that world, or because there's somebody there who needs help, or because any reason. It'll fill in the gaps. The shock isn't, the surprise isn't there. It's not, for me, it's not worth it. I really, like, it bothers me more than anything. Not that anything in the world, but like it bothers me more than it shocks me. You know? I don't know. It just, when I heard it, I was just like, done. Don't care. You want to go back? It makes sense.
I think the reason why I'm willing to overlook it is not overlook it, but S.H.I.E.L.D. 10, at least the last season, has been really doing and wrapping it up very quickly. So I guess that's kind of my hope that next episode this is we have to go back, and then the following episode we'll go back and we'll do that thing. You know, we're only going to stay on it for 2 episodes.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not as worried about it.
Yeah, I have no worry about it like lasting too long. It never does, even in Lost or in any of them. It's resolved immediately. That's why it bothers me, because I'm like, all right, you didn't. That's just like cutting off the line and not telling me. Like, I know, just tell me the damn MacGuffin. I don't know. All right, so let's wrap this up so people can go to the bathroom and get ready to watch Walking Dead. How about that?
Sounds good.
All right, are we guys gonna quit on the series or gonna watch next week? No,
Yeah,
we're going to watch. It's going to be fun. And again, very important, please leave comments on the video. That's why we do this. We like to hear people have things to say that are nice about our wonderful show. And if you're interested in doing a Hangout series with us about some show you like, also leave a comment or let us know on social media, on NonPro at Twitter, or on our Google Plus page, or on the Faces list. Thank you all. See you next time.